Welcome to the Sharpe Way show. Yes, it is 7 p.m. Eastern, which means you gotta see my beautiful face yet again, doing my best to keep us interested, to keep us going. Today is our Tuesday. What does that mean? It is our last weekend special, weekly special, where I talk about the weekend and news that happened sometimes today, yesterday, not always the weekend, but news previously, and we chat about that. It's interesting and fun, and you can actually put your own comments down and talk to me too, which makes it even better. Speaking of comments, please like, comment, share. I bug you every time. Why aren't you liking? Why aren't you sharing? Why aren't you commenting? I keep bugging you. Why? Because it's free and it gets the algorithms going and it gets us noticed. Yes, so please like, comment, share to the best of your ability. Absolutely. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. Make sure you follow me on Facebook. Make sure you subscribe to YouTube. YouTube is important too, guys. Don't just do the Facebook thing. YouTube also matters. And if you've got cash right now, head over to patreon.com/sharpeway. Support this show so I can keep doing it over the summer, because I want to keep giving it to you every single day to the best of my ability. So help me out to the best of your ability. And if you can't help me out with dollars, go ahead, like, comment, share. It really does matter. I hope you get it. It really does matter. So it is last weekend today. I got a couple things I want to talk about. Some of them are, believe it or not, guns, which haven't really been in the news recently. Everything's been about COVID or George Floyd, but there's things that overlap right now, and I want to cover a little bit of that. It's been common. I do want to cover some of the race issues, and I actually want to cover some things outside of that. I also want to cover the some of the news items that have been popping up, particularly over the weekend. So absolutely. Hold on. Let me see if I can grab one of those if I can. Oh, hold on. Larry, my car was stolen today. Mark, I'm sorry to hear that. Sucks. I had to sit back and watch the cops let him go on down the street with a ticket due to bail reform. It's funny. It's a little bit off topic. We were just talking about bail reform yesterday and on Thursday. So Mark, you have to watch Thursday's show. Thursday, I'm going to have actually a New York State officer who's worked both as a police officer in New York City and upstate New York, and we're talking about these issues, bail reform, changing the police, all those things. So you have to watch Thursday, 7 p.m. He will be on here, and we can chat about those exact issues. Thank you for putting that up. That's not today's show, but it's a valid question and issue we have to bring up. Let's talk about it on Thursday. But I heard you. See, I did hear you. All right. The first thing I want to bring up is not about bail reform or cars being stolen. By the way, Mark, sorry about that. I hope you get your car back. I want to cover the popular thing that happened recently. If you guys might remember this, it's the couple that came outside of their home and they had guns. Remember this? These people? This is CNN. Let me take this off so we can see the actual what they're actually saying here. There we go. See, two individuals were seen brandishing a pistol and a rifle near protesters as they walked past their St. Louis home. Now, he's like, let's go, right? They're armed and they're talking about words, right? Look at them. Now, according to a police report, the officers responded to a call for help made by the couple who live on a private street. This is what the police report says. The couple told police they observed protesters who broke through the gate and were armed, so they armed themselves. All right, now this is the problem I have with this. This isn't more of a nuanced argument than some people might think. Some people are like, well, they have the right, and some people are like, oh my God, they're evil. Both are wrong. Do they have a right to come on their property with legally owned firearms and defend themselves? Of course they do. No doubt. They have absolutely every right to come on their property, the owners of the homeowners to be on their property with legally owned firearms and defend themselves. 100%. The issue I have is I think they lied about the reason. Yeah, I don't have evidence of that except that they said people broke into the gate and threatened them and all that stuff. No evidence of that whatsoever, and that the protesters were armed. Hours and hours of video, I don't see any armed protesters. So the thing that gets me angry about this is on many levels. It isn't only their fault. It is their fault, but it's also our fault. And let me tell you why it's both of our faults. They have every right to defend themselves, and they shouldn't have to say they felt scared and the protesters were armed, but they did. I think they lied, which is BS on them for lying about it. They should have just said, I was worried, so I came out, and I showed them my weapons. They can't do anything. You have a right. Go ahead, do that. But they lied. But why did they lie? Because society says that they can't do this. Not the law, not the Constitution. Society says they can't do this. So they think they have to make up a lie that, oh, the protesters were attacking them and we're going to burn their house down. Otherwise, society says they're evil or stupid or doing something wrong. So shame on us as society for thinking that because someone's worried and they bring their firearms out in their own home, that they own legally, that we shame them. Shame on us for that. And shame on them for lying about it, because now it's the old thing, oh, the black people had guns. So they fall right into a horrible narrative that they shouldn't have fallen into. This is bad on all levels, except what should have happened is they should have just come out with the firearms. They thought that was appropriate, and the protesters should have filmed them and walked away, and that should have been it. But it can't be. It just can't be, right? But to be forward, these guys are really crappy firearms owners. I'm just saying. I mean, this guy's pointing at his wife. I mean, she's got no discipline at all. She's pointing a gun at people. I mean, they are bad. Again, still their rights. I'm not saying they shouldn't do it. I'm just saying, wow, just bad. Did they get any training at all? Probably not. But besides the point. My point being that I think they totally lied. And I think absolutely that they thought they had to lie. It's terrible. I can't stand that point. Yes, right. Pointing a weapon at someone's an issue. You shouldn't be pointing a weapon at somebody, right? That's the issue. Thank you, Mr. Haas, for bringing that up. They shouldn't be pointing weapons. You can bring them out and say, look, I'm armed, guys. If you're going to come at me, there's going to be problems. Nothing wrong with that. But the woman's pointing a gun at them. Come on. They're not coming on their property. They're on a sidewalk. Come on. There's no need for that to happen. This, by the way, is in St. Louis. That shouldn't have been happening. That is a terrible piece. Yes, indeed, Aaron, twice a day. Thank you, Thomas, for listening. Absolutely. Tim, I'm glad that no one got hurt. This was a cluster cluck. I know what you meant to say. And I already love your point here. They could have handled the weapons better. Absolutely, right? I want to make sure there's as you hear me say 85,000 times, there's a nuance here. Do they have a right to defend themselves with their guns? 100%. Yes, they do. No doubt. That's not an issue in my world at all. Go ahead, do it. Your property, your firearms. Go on with your bad self. Pointing a gun, yeah, really, really bad when it came to that one. Let's keep going. I'll show you why I think they actually lied in an attempt to make themselves look better, and they shouldn't have had to. All right, now, this is what I say. This is all private properties in St. Louis. There are no public sidewalks or public streets. And they say we were told that we would be killed, our home burned, and our dog killed. By who? The cops? We were all alone facing an angry mob. Yeah, no, Mark. That's not true. You've made that up. The reason why these guys were walking down the street is they were going towards the mayor's house or something like that. They were wanting to protest the mayor. These people live in the same area. So they were actually just heading down towards to protest the mayor, who is a public official. And I have no problem with them protesting the public official. It does kind of suck. These people happen to be on the way, and so the protesters walk by them. But do I have proof of this? No. So maybe I'll be found out to be a liar later. But there is no way that those peaceful protesters were walking down that street and said, we're going to kill you and burn your house down and kill your dog. That didn't happen. So sadly, these people thought they had to lie so that we would think they're okay. No, we don't think you're okay because your firearm discipline is horrible. You should be embarrassed by that. Go get some training and stop acting the way you're acting. You're going to hurt somebody. You're going to hurt, and then you should be charged because you're going to hurt somebody, and then you should be charged. All right. So just to be clear, then Trump retreats it. You know, Trump, you shouldn't be involved in this. I'm involved in this. If I'm doing it, you shouldn't be. Trump, just go deal with other stuff, man. This is not your world. Move on. Move on. It's not your world. See, they were marching towards the mayor's home, right? They were marching towards the mayor's home. Absolutely. Look at her. Look at her. She's pointing a gun at them. What are you doing? There's not one of them with a gun. There's not one of them even coming at her. They're mad at her for being a jerk because she shouldn't be pointing a gun at people. That's horrible. I'd be mad at her too. So would any of you watching or listening. You'd be mad at her too. But she does no threat. Now, here's the best part. The mayor actually says she's sorry because she made a mistake and she identified people by mistake in their addresses during a go live. She needs more practice. Like me, you don't do that stuff, right? So she then apologized. It's all her fault. So it's her fault. So they marched up there because she said something. Now, to be forward, was that private property? I actually don't know if it was. But I'm not mad at them for actually marching towards the mayor who basically said, here I am and I'm doing stuff. So the mayor says, my fault, I'm so sorry. I got it. Which, good on the mayor, right? I don't know this mayor at all, but good she's doing it. So now the peaceful protest, this is their lawyer. Now the lawyer of Mark who said they were going to burn his house down and kill everyone, kill a dog, right? That's it. Now the peaceful protesters were not the subject of scorn or disdain by the McCloskeys. They were expecting and supportive of the message of the protesters. Yeah, no, either that or either that's true or they were going to have their house burned down. It can't be both, right? It can't be both. This is why I want to be clear. What the couple did is fine, meaning you should defend yourself. Of course you should. Absolutely. My worry is not just with them, but with us too. Why did that couple feel that they had to lie and say they were being threatened and their house was going to be burned down? Now, did they feel threatened? Maybe. That's totally possible. And probably the reason why they came out with the guns. Again, I have no problem with that. None. But now you're going to lie to the press. You're going to go on the radio and say they were going to kill my dog and burn my house down. This just makes the racial stuff in our world even worse. It is not helping. It's not making things better. It's just making things worse. I wish they just would have told the truth, which is what I believe is true. They got scared. They got scared. They were worried, and they came outside with guns. Fine. You can do that. But now they were going to get, and now your lawyer, you support the movement. Come on. This is all just them acting like they think they have to act and be forward. We as a society should not in any way, shape, or form be scorning these people for coming out and defending themselves, for their terrible firearm discipline. Yes, we can scorn them for that. That's bad. That's terrible, 100%. But anyway. All right. So they then say that. Okay, but now we keep going, right? Now, their actions were born solely of fear and apprehension. I believe that's true. Why didn't they just say that? Note, after they lawyered up, now it's, we were just scared, which is probably the truth. They told the lawyer, and the lawyer said, why did you say that stupid stuff on the radio that they're going to burn your house down? Don't say that. Just say the truth. You were scared. You legally have firearms. You protect your property. Done. All good. Absolutely. Yeah, they acted lawfully on their property, which is in a private gated lane in the city of St. Louis. I agree, Mr. Lawyer. See, this is the rule, right? The funny thing is, McCloskey is actually a lawyer. He should know better. He should have lawyered up first and then shut his mouth and then had your lawyer just say the smart stuff right here. Just, we were scared and that's it. Second Amendment rights, move on. Just terrible. But then the next part, right? The part that's so bad here is, number one, the idea of us as a society being angry at them for having firearms. No worries. But then on top of that, them being scared, they have to lie. also horrible, right? And then us as a society saying, and this is the worst part, people wanted charges against them, but not for anything that's real. Look, if there's any charge, knucklehead wife pointing a gun at people, okay, maybe that's a charge, right? I get that. And I know some people in the comments are saying that. That one I could get. Maybe that's, but that's not why they want the charge. They want to charge them because they're bad, because they don't like the movement. That's not criminal, guys. That's not criminal. And the fact that so many Americans actually think the fact that they came out with firearms is by default a crime, it is not. Maybe in New York State it is. I'm sorry. In New York State, it probably is a crime. I mean, New York State hates guns. So it probably is a crime in New York State. Sorry, I should change that. Shouldn't be a crime. Maybe that's a better way of saying it. It should not be a crime. The fact that it shouldn't be a crime, it makes everything worse. It makes people who support guns, gun rights, they make the gun rights people look bad. And then the way they acted towards the protests by lying up front, they make everybody who's not supporting exactly what they're doing look bad also. This was just bad for them. Just bad for them. All right, so I know I went a little bit nuts on that one, but I just want to, it really bothered me, and I wanted to make sure I kind of covered what was important, right? And of course, the mayor said nothing. But anyway, I hope you guys get where I was going with this. This is an issue that it's guns, but it's also culture, right? It's not just they're bad people or whatever you might think. It's more than that. Let's see if I can grab this real fast here. All right, so let me grab some of these comments here if I could. All right. Let's see. I think they displayed terrible gun safety. Yes, muzzles up, fingers inside the trigger guards, no shoes, not seeing gun. All those things. Yes, Aaron, just bad. But again, that's that. I'm happy to tease them about that. It's bad. They should go get some training. Terrible. Absolutely. Yes. They didn't say they were black. I don't know if they were. It's a good point. David's good point. The point is, this looks bad for everybody because you're right, Dave. People assumed that these were the evil white people who hate black people. That was absolutely the assumption. There's no doubt that was true. And they weren't helpful by lying. They should have just said, there's a mob. We were afraid. We came out to defend ourselves. That's it. That's what they should have said. But once you start the lie, people immediately in their heads, this is our culture. Dave, I'm not talking reality. I'm not talking logic. I'm talking culture. Our culture says, oh, angry black man with a gun. You're lying about the angry, false gun. The cops are putting in the gun. So I get your point. You're right. What I'm talking about is how the culture goes, and they fell right into it. The lawyer knew better, right? But they didn't. And the guy should just lawyer it up, let the lawyer speak for him, things to change, and have some better firearm discipline on top. Those two things, and this kind of goes away. Yes. They broke down gates and went on private property. Stop it. Stop what? Stop the fact that she was pointing guns at people. That they were told, this is what he said, they were told their house is going to be burned down. By whom? Who told them they're going to burn their house down? Yeah, no, yeah. Exactly. Yes, the couple claimed the police were going to threaten to kill them and burn their house down and kill their dog. Yeah, no, they didn't. No. Oh, maybe they yelled it at them. Maybe they yelled, yeah, we're going to get you or whatever, after they came out with the guns already and the protesters had no guns. So, Bailey, I'm not saying they have the right to defend themselves. Of course they do. I hope no one thinks watching this that I don't think you should be able to defend yourself. Of course you can. Not a problem. My problem is the lie. And I don't only blame them. I do. They lied. And I also blame our society that they thought they had to. They shouldn't have thought they had to. And the lawyer, when they lawyered up, realized you don't have to. Just say you were scared, which people get scared, and then you defend yourself. The lie is both sides' faults, if that makes any sense. It's both. She's lucky her husband didn't shoot her by accident. Yes, I shouldn't laugh at that, but did you see how bad they are? And they're scared, and they're doing it. Oh my God, terrible. 100% terrible. Yes. Oh, what a take on this. One I hadn't really thought about. I don't have to be under an imminent physical threat. Firearm safety is a huge issue. But should I feel I'm about to die before I show a weapon? No. Again, to be fair, Kelly, I I guess I'm, because of what some people have been talking about, there's really two sides of this. I'm trying to find what I think is the real side, in my view, right? It isn't you can't come out and show a weapon. Of course you can. That isn't the issue. The issue is, why do you lie about it? And then what does it say about a society that you feel you have to lie about it? Don't lie about it. Kelly, if someone's on your property and you don't have to physical, you should feel physical threat before you pull that trigger. Yes. Before you pull that trigger, you should feel like there is an imminent physical threat. Yes, you should. But if you want to show someone, I'm packing, walk away, I don't have a problem with that. Of course not. Of course not. So yes, you don't have to feel like you're going to die at all, unless you're going to pull the trigger. Of course not. Yes. Their weapon handling was atrocious. Yes, in the class, Scott. Absolutely. That part's still good. And I'm happy teasing them about that. I really am. It's yeah, absolutely, of course. Oh my God, we are turning them up. They also need better firearms training. I bet there are a couple of the many reported liberals who decided to buy their first firearms the last few months because of all the riots. Maybe. Absolutely. Yes. Michelle, I would have stood in my door with the shotgun next to me and tell them I dare you. Totally acceptable, Michelle. Yes. Totally acceptable. Yes. Absolutely. No problem at all. Come on in. I'm packing. You want some? What's wrong with that? I'm with you 100%. But I hope you wouldn't lie to the cops and go, I thought they were coming at me with bayonets or they're going to burn my house down. I hope you would just go, I was scared. I saw 200 strangers marching and yelling coming down the road. I was scared. Okay. You can be scared. Yes. If they didn't trespass, they wouldn't have to point at them. I'd say, Dave, I don't buy that one, right? They don't have to point. It's not required. I'm not even upset about the pointing that much. That annoys me more than anything else. It really does. It annoys me more than anything else. What is absolutely wrong, and I'll say it again to be clear, is the lie. That's a lie. I don't buy they were threatened and they were yelling that they were told in advance the mob's coming to burn your house down and kill your dog. I don't buy that at all. If anyone said it was like their friend on Facebook or something, maybe. And if you're afraid the mob's going to come and burn your house down, why are you outside? Be inside when they come in. So this part, I don't buy. Missouri has a castle down. I didn't even know that. I don't live in Missouri. So they could wait till they come on your property and you could actually open fire and you'd be okay. Please don't open fire on people unless you feel like you're in danger. Please don't do that. Yes, Tim, nuance is what I'm always trying to bring, the nuance to understand the reality of these things. I really want to do that. Yes, absolutely. Remember, they operated in a panic, trying to give some benefit to the doubt. John, this is why I'm not so mad about her pointing the gun. She shouldn't have pointed the gun. I think it's a bad idea. She shouldn't have done it. And if they get in trouble, it'll be because of that. If they do get in trouble, it'll be because of that. She shouldn't have. But I actually agree. You got two people and a mob walking down the road. Maybe you're scared. Maybe someone on Facebook said they're going to come get us or whatever. It's possible someone said that. It's possible. So maybe she was scared. I get it. I'm more annoyed at the gunpoint than anything else. Again, what I'm mad about is why the lie. That's my biggest issue here, without question. And yes, we should link Maj with them so they can go get some training at Maj Ture. Maj Ture knows the hell he's doing. Absolutely. Go talk to him. 100%. Helen, if you have that clip that included threats, I would love for you to send that to me. That would be awesome. That would be great. Yes. Yes. Ken, basic farm discipline, don't point a gun at something unless you're going to shoot it. Yeah, I tend to agree with that one. Absolutely. How are they supposed to know they're peaceful? They may not have known. Mary, I'm with you. Maybe they didn't know. Again, why lie? Why lie? Maybe they didn't know. But now they're out there. They can see no one's armed. They're just mad and shaking their fist and calling them names and taking pictures, which is bad. Absolutely, it's bad. And they had their firearms. Fine. If something happened, they could have acted accordingly. If the mob was aggressive, they could have acted accordingly. Do you have to be pointing the pistol at people and doing that? You don't have to be doing that. You don't, and you don't have to lie. That's the nuance I'm saying. You didn't have to. Yes. Yes, Austin Peterson. This is his state. Absolutely. Yes. I don't know if they forced their way into the property. I think they did. I think this was a gated community is what I believe it was. So the road by default was a private road, but they were going to protest the mayor's house. And I think the mayor lived in this gated community. So the people may have known that, they may not have. Again, I'm not against them drawing the firearm. Why lie? If they were going to burn down the houses, wouldn't they have burnt down the first house they went to, or burnt the entire community down, or whatever the case may be? Yeah. Anyway, I get what you're saying, Larry, but if this is indeed a gated community and there were that many people directly in front of their home, it led credence to the fact they broke into the community. Yeah, I hope my nuance is clear on this one. I get what you guys are talking about. I hope it is clear. So pointing guns at protesters is the new I support you and your movement. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It can't be both, right? It's either they support the movement or someone's trying to burn your house down. One or the other is true. It can't be both. So you're the second person to say I heard violence in the video. If someone was threatening violence while they were walking by, that's after the fact, isn't it? They were already outside pointing a gun. I might threaten violence too if you're pointing a gun at me, Dave. I'm just saying, if you're pointing a gun at me, I might threaten you back. I might say, put that gun away. I might have choice words for you if you were pointing a firearm at me, as I think you might have some choice words for me if I was pointing a firearm at you. So if it's after the fact, what I said stands. You came outside and you started lying. Don't lie. Don't lie. That's my issue. Just don't lie. You're not going to be pointing a gun. Yes. I do have a problem with protests talking about people's homes. In my opinion, it's over the line. I agree. I think it's a big problem. These particular instances are what give the broader society a perception of gun lovers as those crazy gun people. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Michelle. I know so many gun owners, and none of them that I know, unless they're hiding it very well, are crazy gun people. None of them. Even though many of them really like guns a lot. They're not crazy gun people. I don't know it. I mean, I'm sure there are some that are hiding. I'm sure because it's crazy people. So I'm sure there are some, but none of them are. None of them are. So this makes it worse for gun owners, and it makes it worse for the Second Amendment. This isn't helping the Second Amendment supporters at all. It's just making it worse, particularly the lie, because that triggers race. Whether it was racial or not, this is the country we live in. When you do that, it triggers race. Guaranteed it does. That's why it's a big deal. It immediately triggers race. Again, Dave, to your point, he didn't say that. This is not logic. This is our culture. So if she was scared, why did she get so close with your gun around? She's a jerk. Yeah, Michelle, see? I'm not the only one who thinks this. I'm not the only one who thinks this. Absolutely. I'm not the only one who thinks this. See? See, Dave, I thought you think you're wrong. I'm wrong, but I'm not the only one who's thinking this. This is obviously that people are thinking differently here. They are. Absolutely. Yes. We will do this to protect our home. If you don't love your family, period. I'm with you. Again, no problem with them doing it. My problem only was the issue of the lie. I'm concerned about that. And this does not help the Second Amendment supporters at all. It's not helpful, right? That's the issue. It isn't helpful. It just makes things bad. All right. Since we're on race, I want to go to another one, which is, well, you know what? Let me get out of race. Let me instead go to kind of police force race, something similar to this, which is another example that was actually a while ago. This was relatively, it's about a week ago this came out. So I'm a little bit old on this one. However, I think it is important, right? Hold on, let me see if I can grab this here. You wait in the house, watch out the window. If they come in your property to do harm, you show a gun, tell them you dare you. I like that, Michelle. She's thinking. But this one actually is something from about a week ago. It's a woman who's in a store. And what I'm worried about here is the comments that popped up on this one. I'll show you this one. There were comments that popped up on this one that, again, were not good at all. This is a woman literally just walking out of a store. She grabs a bunch of stuff and walks out the store. And then, like, don't do it. Boom. She just basically just robs the store, basically. This is terrible. Horrible. She basically just robs the store. Now, there's so many issues with this, but this is, to your point, Dave, when you should be pointing a firearm. See? This is when you should be pointing a firearm. Absolutely. This is the time to be doing that, right? But the problem that I had here is the comments were things like, imagine your store being robbed and having no one to call. This became the idea of, only police can save you. Now, I brought this up because it goes directly with the last clip we saw, which was someone who felt afraid in their own property came out with firearms, right? As I'm okay with. In this case, there are no firearms. In theory, they're saying, well, what if there's no cops? All right. If people like those lawyers who started pointing guns at people and lying about how they were going to burn their house down and kill their dog, if that's what happens, the Second Amendment is even further under assault. And if it's further under assault, how does a store owner defend themselves when the Second Amendment is still under assault? This woman was stealing. Well, what if there were no cops? You'd have an armed guard out front who would say, put the bag down. You'd have someone with a stick who would club her over the head and take the property back. Yeah. This one was one that should have been defended, but we did exactly the opposite. We attacked the Second Amendment in both cases. Totally different, but both attack the Second Amendment. The first one makes all gun people look dumb and look incompetent and look racist and all those things, which is not true, but it made it look that way. And then this one says, what can we do without cops? We can't have our own firearms. That would be impossible. We can't do that. Two completely different clips, different everything, yet both do the same thing. They indirectly or directly, but mostly indirectly, attack the Second Amendment and your right to defend your property. Our culture is a problem. There's a problem with our culture that we can't even imagine that we would actually defend ourselves, whether it's private property, our home, whether it's our store. It doesn't matter. It's bad, bad, bad. No matter what, it's bad. We have a right to defend ourselves, and we shouldn't have to lie or be afraid. And the worst part is, and this is the sad part, if you live in a neighborhood where you have a big diverse population, right? And it's going to sound horrible, but you guys know what I'm going to say here. You probably want security that's a person of color. I wish I didn't have to say that, but I think you know what I'm talking about. You want a person of color out front who's got that taser or a billy club or a firearm, whatever is the appropriate thing. That's what you want. Because then you can stop anybody from taking whatever they're going to take. Absolutely. But we can't, because you have to call the cops, particularly if you're in a city like mine. You have to call the cops. You just have to accept it and call the cops. You can't do anything about it, because if you do, you're the bad guy. You are the bad guy. I don't want us to be the bad guy for defending ourselves, right? Absolutely. I get the point, Larry. A lie should never have been necessary. Yes, absolutely. I was scared. I felt threatened. In my view, Kelly, that's enough. That's enough. I was scared. I pulled my firearm and sat it right there. I said, you got something? You got a problem? That's it. There's no need to lie. That's all it is right there. Yes. I really think people, and these people are fed up with what is going on. The protests turned violent and raised unchecked, according to the media. Then increases in COVID cases were announced and ignored as the protests as the source. Jenny, I agree. And I think that what we could have done in this case is that's a good enough answer in itself. I'm watching TV and the media tells me the world's ending. So I got scared. End of story. Done. End of story. Yes. All right. Let's see if I can grab the next one here. NAP was NAP violated? I think it kind of was. They were trespassing, right? So that it was. I get it, but the question is, why lie? Yet again, just exactly what Kelly said. I was scared. They were on my property. I took out my firearm. Right? Done. I think that's the right answer. Absolutely. I would be willing to display weapons and say, please don't. See, Tim, because you are a polite man. I love that. I love that. You are a polite man. You draw and go, you know what? Please don't. Because I don't want to have to pull the trigger today. I don't want to have to pull the trigger today. And I agree. Tim, I hope you never have to pull that trigger. I hope it never happens. I hope you never have to pull that trigger. I'm with you 100%. I think that's exactly right. Yes. All right. I don't agree at all. They were yelling threats to them. They shouldn't have to retreat. I agree with the retreat part, Dave. I agree. It actually makes more sense tactically to retreat. But you're right. They shouldn't have to. I think they probably should have just tactically. I mean, if those protesters would have rushed them, they're finished. I mean, just tactically going out there was a bad idea, right? But you're right. They shouldn't have to retreat. And they weren't. They were on their property. No worries. They were on their property. All good. All right. See if I can grab a couple of these. All righty. I was scared is good enough for cops to shoot. Yes, and I don't like that either, Brian. You're right. I don't like that either. I do not want the cops to do that either. I think neither of them should be just shooting because they're scared. Can they brandish because they're scared? Yes, 100%. 100%. But if you actually feel that you're afraid for your life, that's different. That's a whole different issue. So anyway, I hope that was good. I have something else now. I've been on cops and race and Second Amendment. Now I've got to go to yes, this is interesting, Tim. To, believe it or not, Bill Maher. Bill Maher actually is talking about race on a show on Friday night. And he was talking about something very important, which I like, and I hope you guys will get it, because sometimes Bill Maher really does hit it on the most. Remember, Bill Maher does have a libertarian streak in him. He's very Democrat, but he's got a streak of libertarianism in him that comes out sometimes. And when it does, it's impressive. I think we got one of them. This week.
Finally, new rule, black people have to demand that white people stop culturally appropriating how mad they are about racism. It's great that Caucasians have finally joined the fight for racial justice in unprecedented numbers, but hating racism the most? You can't steal that.
And this is the point that he's trying to make, which I do see, right? He's saying, I'm glad you don't like racism. Good for you. I'm glad. But you don't have to be super anti-racist to the point that you're angrier than people who are black. That's his point. And it's not that I'm against that, to be forward. If you hate racism, I hope you do. I hope everyone does. But it winds up becoming virtue signaling. And that's the worry. It becomes just, look, I'm cooler than you because I hate it more than you do, versus actually doing something to make it better. And I want to make stuff better. That's what I'm always concerned about, making things better.
Elvis taking Little Richard's act, that was bad enough. Victor Sengby is an Oakland resident who put up small loops for footholds on trees in a local park for exercise and games. He says,
out of the dozens and hundreds and thousands of people that have walked by, no one, has thought that it looked anywhere close to a noose.
But Oakland's mayor, Libby Schaaf, wasn't going to let all that cheat her out of a chance to signal her virtue.
Bingo. Virtue signaling. I hope everyone hates racism. I know some don't, and you don't have to. I hope you do. But this is a point. You got some guy, and he's a brother. He's black. He's just trying to make a space for the kids to play. And he does that. And then all of a sudden now, he's the racist, and the mayor has to show that she's the best person in the world. That's just virtual signaling. And that's what we're starting to go towards.
She said these incidents will be investigated as a hate crime. Why is this white woman seeing racism where a black man isn't?
The black man did it. The black man set it up. And now it's investigated as a hate crime and evidence turned to an FBI. So what's going to happen? You're going to ruin a black man's life in an attempt to not be racist? Is that what this is about? How about if you, and I don't mind, if you think it's racist, maybe you do, and maybe, I doubt it, but maybe she actually believes that it's racist. I doubt that's true. But let's give her the benefit of the doubt for a second that she believes it's racist. Okay, then why not talk to the guy and say, hey, what's going on here? Can we have a conversation about this? And if he goes, yeah, I wanted the kids to play in trees. Oh, well, it looks like it might be racist. It's not. Have a nice day. Why isn't it that? But it's got to be my virtue is so important. I will show you. I will be more everything. I will be more. I will be more virtuous than you, even if I have to put a black man in jail. I'm going to put you in jail for your own good.
The mayor also said intentions don't matter. But
intentions don't matter. Literally, I teach this when I'm teaching corporate training, diversity training. Intentions do matter. You have to divvy up without question. You have to divvy up intent from impact. There's a difference. How do I know this? In every single country on the planet, we decide which one will, whether someone's murder 1, murder 2, murder 3, manslaughter, all that stuff, based on one thing: intent. That's what it's based off of. Intent. What were you trying to achieve? Oh my God.
they do matter.
Yes.
And white people need to stop trying to cancel other white people whose heart is in the right place, but don't get it exactly right on the first try.
Thank you. I hate to say it, but I'm going to. Bill Ball's right. He's totally right. This is exactly what we're going to be thinking about. It's important that if someone wants to be an ally in whatever that thing is, I'm trying to be an ally. You know, I make mistakes when I'm dealing with the gender and sexual minority community. I don't always say the right thing. My intent is to try to say the right thing to the best of my ability. I'm trying to hurt no one, but my impact might be negative, in which case I would hope someone would go, you know what, Larry, let me give you the benefit of the doubt and have a conversation. That's how we change. If you want to change, absolutely have that conversation. Talk to people. It's okay. Talk. That's how we change. Scolding people or putting them in jail because you think it's racist or zero tolerance policies only makes things worse. I want to make them better.
A few weeks ago, when everyone was posting a black square on Instagram, BuzzFeed wrote, "Influencers, it's a privilege to post a black square and then go back to your usual content." As opposed to what? Abandoning your life and just posting a black square every day?
Yes, you're not repentant enough. You aren't good enough. No.
People got called out for not posting the square, then for just posting it without speaking out.
You aren't good
and
enough.
then for posting it and speaking out, but not voicing their support in the exact way that was said in the new decoder ring.
Boo.
They were helping wrong.
We're helping wrong. This drives me crazy. In whatever you're trying to achieve in your life, whether it's a gender issue because you're a woman being treated unfairly, whether it's racial issue, ethnic background because your religion is the wrong religion, or whatever, you're too tall, too short, too this, too that. If I'm trying to help you, please don't scold me if I get it wrong. Instead, say, hey, you got it wrong, Larry. Here's how you help me. Here's how you help me. And I go, great, let me try to help you that way. That's what we should be doing. This idea of you aren't good enough, I'm more virtuous than you, is making things worse.
Ellen DeGeneres felt enough pressure so that she erased a tweet that said, "People of color in this country have faced injustice for far too long." Okay, that may not be exactly Black Lives Matter, but it's also very true and pretty close to what we're trying to get everyone to understand.
But it wasn't good enough, was it? Hammer, hammer, hammer. It is hurtful.
Liberalism should be about lifting people up. And you don't do that by slapping down people who are trying to say, I'm on your side.
Yes.
No wonder white people right now are acting like a nervous waiter on their first day. So scared of making a mistake, they put a fork in your iced tea and a straw in your salad. We don't want to chant the wrong chant or hold the wrong sign. Hey, please.
Let me tell you, as the self-proclaimed emperor of black people for the day, if you want to help anyone, just help in any way you can. I don't care if you chant the right chant or don't chant any chant. You know what I'd like everyone to do? Everyone who's listening or watching or whatever it may be, just follow the doctor's rule. Just do no harm. How about that? Just do no harm. That's it. You don't have to have a sign or go march or none of that stuff. You don't have to do any of it. Just do no harm. You do that, we're good. We're good. That's what, please just do no harm. And we're good.
It's all we can do to clap on the right beat. You want to be a good ally, but not too good, or you're being a white savior. Use your voice, but don't make it about yourself. But speak up, unless it's your time to just listen.
Yep.
And then silence is violence. Even though sometimes silence just means someone works 2 jobs and has 3 kids.
Thank you. Just do no harm. Just go do what you got to do with your life. Don't do any harm. And we're good. It really is that simple. For those of you who want to help, whatever is the... Look, we always have unfairness in our country. It's how it works. There's always going to be somebody who's being treated unfairly, whether it's people of color, whether it's women, whether it's people who have convictions, whether it's people who are smokers. Insert thing, there's always someone who is going to be at a disadvantage at any given time in our country. That's how it works, right? I hope one day we'll all be perfect or whatever. I hope one day it'll happen. It's not. When you want to help those given people, whoever they are, first, do no harm. And when you are that person, when you are the person who is having a bad time of it, when you are part of the out group, whatever that group is, when you are, and someone tries to help you, don't be a jerk. Just don't be a jerk. If they're trying to help, let them help.
They have baby food on their shirt, not hate in their heart. Some guy just wrote into the New York Post, I am a senior level leader in an organization and feel compelled to speak up about racial injustice, but I'm afraid to. As a white man, I'm afraid that I will say something that will be misinterpreted.
Yep.
And I will do more harm than good for my career, too. Staying silent seems wrong, but safer.
Yes.
Am I alone in this?
I cannot tell you how important this point is that he brought up. And this is happening right now in corporate America. So some of you may not care about the politics. Some of you may or may not. I don't know. But the reality of it is, in your companies, in your organizations, you're going to be working for, or do work for, or going to be servicing, or being a vendor to, or purchasing services from, whatever it is. You have a lot of people who are afraid to say anything, afraid to do anything. Zero tolerance culture is hurtful. It makes things worse. We don't get to have the conversations required to have things work better. And something else. A lot of times when people say things that are inappropriate or wrong or even hurtful, this is because they have, as Bill Maher says, hate in their hearts. It's because they have bad habits, or they don't understand, or they're ignorant, or anything else. And I use my example all the time myself personally. When I left the Marine Corps, it was the only job that I'd had since I was 17 years old. I was mostly on the ground side, meaning the artillery, infantry, tanks, that side of the Marine Corps. And there were no women in the 80s when I was in the Marine Corps. It's only men. In the Marine Corps ground side. Now there are women in the non-ground side then. But in the ground side of the Marine Corps, there weren't any women, right? So my language, which I thought was professional, was so misogynistic. As I look back now, I can't believe how misogynistic it was. So I would say things that would make women get upset. And I didn't get it. I wasn't trying to hurt them. I was ignorant. I had bad habits. And it took me time to break my habits. And I was very lucky that people understood I was trying to change. And they weren't that mean to me. They were nice to me. And they were like, look, you shouldn't. And they talked. That was in the 90s. Now, I couldn't imagine now. I couldn't imagine now with a microaggression seen as a stab in the heart versus an error or a mistake or a problem or just anger that has nothing to do with anything except that I'm mad for some reason. This idea of silencing people because they aren't doing it right is hurtful. It's going to make things worse, and the backlash will be far worse. I'm asking you, if you're out there, if you're the one on the receiving end of whatever that is, if someone's trying to be your ally, don't be a jerk. You can correct them. Nothing wrong with correcting people. They're saying the wrong thing or going the wrong way. You can correct them, but you can be nice about it. Hey, thank you for trying. Let me show you how. Oh, thank you. I want to be an ally. Or if you're the one being the ally and you make the error, have the conversation. Have the conversation.
Unfortunately, no. There was a sports announcer in Sacramento who tweeted, "All lives matter," and immediately got fired, even though he apologized and said he just didn't understand.
This is a common thing, right? I was literally on a podcast. Was it 2 days ago? Yes, Sunday night. I was in a podcast discussing all lives matter, expressing that a lot of people were saying it, don't get it. It's defensive. It's reactive. They don't understand how it feels, what happens. They don't get it. So have a conversation, and you'll watch people. You'll watch if someone's really mean and mad at you, they'll come out. If not, they'll have a conversation. We can't change and make things better for everybody without conversations. The guy I talk about all the time is a guy named Daryl Davis. Daryl Davis is my hero. Some of you know I talk about him often. He's a musician who, when he was a little kid, he was raised in a mostly black neighborhood. And when he got older, he was raised in a white neighborhood, similar to me. I had a similar situation. I was raised in the Bronx and then Long Island, right? So I feel him completely. So he didn't understand why people were racist. He didn't get it. He couldn't get it. So he actually he said, I'm going to go to the people who are the most racist and ask them. And he literally befriended many Ku Klux Klan, KKK members. And he's turned them to not be racist. I'm not joking. Do your homework if you want to. It's Daryl with one R, Daryl Davis, if you want to check him out. Literally, he checked it out, and he found that people would change if he'd befriend them and have conversations. Many of them. Sometimes it took years. But are we going to change our country for the better or not? Are we going to have conversations or not? Are we not going to assume because someone says all lives matter, by default they're a racist? Is that where we are? Clearly we are. This guy gets fired because of it. Now, maybe he's a racist. I don't know the guy. I mean, maybe he is a racist. Possible. I don't know. But whether he is or isn't, that isn't enough for him to be fired. That may be enough for a conversation. Okay, let's have that conversation. And let's see what's going on. Zero tolerance policies hurt.
What he said came from a place of ignorance, not racism.
Yep.
That difference is important.
Super important.
Someone could have just explained to him why there's a deservedly special reason we single out Black lives for protection. But now, instead of a possible ally, we create a bitter, unemployed person.
Yes! Not only did you not have an ally, or at least, and I'll go back to what I said before, just do no harm. I don't need you to literally be an ally. I hope everyone is an ally to everybody in America. That'd be amazing. Not required. Just don't be an angry, bitter person who now wants to hurt the movement and do harm, which is what that guy probably is right now. We've made things worse by trying to be righteous, and we're going to, our virtue and zero tolerance. And he said all lives matter, so he's fired. Great. Now he hates everything that isn't whoever he is because his livelihood is ruined. This makes no sense.
Willow Smith, yes, Willow Smith said, "I'm seeing people shaming others for what they are choosing to say or shaming people for not saying anything at all. I feel like if we really want change, shaming doesn't lead to learning."
This is Willow Smith saying this. Okay, first, this is like a first for me. First thing I just said, Bill Maher's right. Now, within the 15 minutes, I'm going to say Willow Smith is right. They're both right. Why won't more people listen to them? They're both right.
She gets it. Surely people twice her age could make the effort.
Yes.
I worry that the kind of tension that the Guardians of Gotcha are creating is going.
By the way, I love that. The Guardians of Gotcha. I'm waiting to get somebody. I can't wait. She said the phrase I don't like. Gotcha. Or she didn't say the phrase. Gotcha. Or he said it wrong. Gotcha. I don't want gotcha. Gotcha's a problem. Gotcha makes everyone the enemy, and I want everyone the ally. I want to help everyone to the best of our ability. I want to help you if you respect and love your Second Amendment rights, or even if you don't. I'm going to defend you if you want to march out in the streets for BLM, or even if you don't. I want to support you if you have someone in your life who is somehow challenged in some way, or even if you don't. Because one day I'm going to need you. And I hope you're going to be there for me as I will try to be there for you. At least do no harm, if not my ally.
Going to make people afraid to mingle at all and thrust us back towards a resegregation of sorts.
This is the hardest part. He's right again. If we do this, as we create hate crime laws and things of that sort, we're making it to where now we're afraid to mingle. The only way that we can deal with all of our issues is by mingling, by talking to each other, by knowing people of different ethnic backgrounds, genders, races. Insert thing here, by voluntarily deciding to integrate. And with the right culture, we will voluntarily integrate. It happens all the time. Let's create the right culture and we'll do it, because we'll have people who we are by default as humans, we are tribal. We are tribal as humans, but we're not really racist. I know it sounds, some of you your head explodes, but it's true. Racism is something that happens in our culture that we've created to create the tribe. But we're tribal for so many other reasons. We're tribal because we're the same, from the same area, think about the same things, like the same movies, like the same sports teams. We're tribal for so many reasons. Race is something that we've just, because of our culture, we've decided that it's got to be a horrible thing. It doesn't.
Where instead of just seeing a person and not a color, now we're only seeing color.
Yes.
Maybe this is old school liberalism talking, but I don't think that's the way to go. Let's hang out. And if I fuck up, tell me why.
Yes.
Not goodbye. It's a gradual year.
Hold on. That phrase, tell me why, not goodbye. If you've been paying attention to me for the past 4 years, every event I go to, I talk about the same thing. We need conversations, conversations, conversations. Why do you think I do this show? For conversations, conversations, conversations. That's how we connect. That's how we that's how we get community. I'm always talking about removing government and adding community. Well, then how do we add community if we don't talk to each other? We have to talk to each other so we can have a community. So we don't need Big Brother. So we don't need the cops coming out. So because some guy puts ropes in the parks on trees, we don't have to call the FBI. We could just talk to the guy and say, hey, why'd you do it? What's going on? He goes, I want kids to play in the streets. I mean, I don't want to play in the streets. I want to play in the park. Oh, good. I'll send my kid. Let's play together.
Years-long process, like Trump descending a ramp. But things are better when the races get together.
Yes.
Like when rappers sample Steely Dan.
Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that part. That was, I don't always do Bill Maher. Obviously, I don't always do Bill Maher because he doesn't always get it right. But this time he did. And I'm happy that he actually got it right. So I wanted to give the guy a little bit of credit because credit was due. That's all. I wanted to make sure that some credit was due. That's it. That was why I wanted that. Yes. All right. So if I can grab this real fast, see if I can grab some of the questions that we had here. You can't have a hate crime without intent. Sadly, I think sometimes they do, right? Sometimes they actually do that. Absolutely. And they shouldn't. I've always, as a little girl, taken an anti-racist position. I can remember having arguments about color versus character when I was as young as 10. And now, 40 years later, if I say I'm not a racist, that makes me one. Sorry, but that's an F you to all you woke people. I say what I mean, and I mean what I say. If you can't take that at face value, then quite honestly, F you. Kelly, I get it, right? You don't, if you aren't anti-racist, I don't know if you, I'm assuming you, I think that's your word, doesn't mean that it's a bad thing, right? Just do no harm. That's the number one thing. But the problem is, if you say you're not a racist, people are, it's the gotcha, right? It's the gotcha. I'm going to get you. I'm going to show you. I'm going to teach you a thing. That's the problem. I'm going to teach you a thing. All right. The statement Black Lives Matter doesn't bother me. Just because you see a sign doesn't mean this is all about race. This is about a tyrannical government hunting in poor brown and black neighborhoods for civil asset forfeiture. It is, right? And this is an issue. There definitely is an issue with the way it comes across, right? It comes across as that, and it probably shouldn't, but it does come across that way sometimes, right? The Black Lives Matter piece, it's connected to the Democratic Party, just is connected to that. Of course it is. But it doesn't mean you have to trash the entire concept, the entire idea. I think you're right. You cannot be about the Black Lives Matter specific group and still understand that there's a problem. Absolutely. I appreciate your perspectives and the way you articulate them, Larry. Thank you. I'm trying to start the conversation, Adam. I want us talking. Got it, brother. Thank you. Yes. So good. You can be the self-proclaimed emperor of Irish people for the day. It's for the day. That's all. Then someone else gets it. It's just for the day. Absolutely. Get 30-ish people, white, black, mixed, rich, poor, criminals, family people, and police, along with politicians, and have meetings and actually listen. Michelle, you should be running for office. Yes, I'm in. Let's do that. I fight for special needs people, as do I. I agree completely. I have someone who was on the spectrum in my family, my niece. And I've seen how it can be very challenging for families, right? In my case, I watch closely, but still from afar. She's not in my immediate family. She's a niece, so she's in my sister-in-law's family. So that family struggles more than I do with that issue, obviously, because it's that direct family. But I see it, and it can be challenging. And I'm with you. I don't always get it either, right? Sometimes I've got to change the way I speak or things, and I have to make some adjustments too. In fact, Michelle, you've helped me more than once in kind of clarifying how I deal with certain things. So I appreciate that. Racism is frequently misdirected revenge. That's true also. It's also true. Yes, people are just mad, 100%. Virtue signaling and microaggression and outrage culture is a deliberate attempt to divide us all. Carrying intensifies. Yes, absolutely. Guys, I want to say thank you so much for today. If you have some time, please take the time, if you can, to like, comment, and share, as you will see me say all the time. Get this out to the best of your ability. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Facebook. Follow me on YouTube. And if you've got the cash, support me on Patreon. I will see you guys all tomorrow.